From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Less Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Less Levine into our 23rd consecutive year. And of course, we are powered by cleveland.com. I don't know who was powering Cincinnati's Bengals last night, but they sure gave Cleveland a nice little early Christmas present. Mary Kay Cabot is here. And Mary Kay, what was that all about last night? Who saw that one coming?
You know what? I did not see it coming. I knew that the Steelers were falling apart. I didn't think they had fallen so far that they were going to lose to a two-victory football team starting Ryan Finley. I mean, come on. I still can't believe that happened. I mean, the Bengals were just out for it last night, really. The way that defense was playing, they were absolutely incredible and unbelievable. And I'm still shocked by the whole thing. And it really sets up for a very interesting 2 weeks.
Yeah, sure does. We of course will focus our attention to the Browns, but it doesn't hurt if you're a Browns fan to see Pittsburgh kind of just fall apart. Is it the end for them, or is it the beginning of the end, or what is it? What are we watching here from afar?
Well, you know what? I think they've had a lot of injuries this season. So I think for anybody to think that you can just write off the Steelers, you know what? I just don't think that it's time to do that. People planned on doing that heading into this season, right? I mean, they had no Le'Veon Bell, they had no Antonio Brown. Ben was getting up there in years, and yet they started off 11-0. Well, I'll tell you what, that's a good organization over there in Pittsburgh, and they will find a way to get back on the winning track next year. There's no way that they are going to settle for anything less than a competitive football team. They also have, like I said, a lot of injuries. They lost their best linebacker in Devin Bush. Just a couple of weeks ago, they lost one of their very best pass rushers in Bud Dupree. Last night, they were without their starting running back in James Conner. They've got a bunch of guys dropping passes. So Ben does not have a lot of help right now. And, if you're not supporting an older quarterback or a struggling quarterback with a really robust running game, then you're doing him a disservice.
Yeah. Well, when the Browns ever sniff falling apart, everybody just wants to wipe everything out and start from the beginning. We all know what a good organization Pittsburgh is, but they don't seem to be taking that same approach. Until they're totally convinced that they got to break it up. They're going to try till their last breath to keep it going. I would guess, unless it all came at the same time, where Ben decided to retire at the same time, maybe. Maybe some other of their veteran players would want out also. So, but I just don't see him standing up against the masses.
No, I mean, you know what? It's going to be really hard, I think, for them to get back on track. In fact, I honestly believe that the Browns have an amazing chance to win the AFC North. I really do, because with the way the Steelers are playing, they have to play the Colts. The Colts are 10-4. They have to play a really good Colts team on Sunday, and they haven't even been able to beat a bad team, let alone a good team. The Browns, meanwhile, are going back to MetLife Stadium to play the 1-13 Jets. They just got the monkey off of their back, so they are not, going to be leaving every single thing they have out on the field to try to avoid 0-16. They've already done that. Not that they're not going to try to win, but they won't be as desperate. So therefore, I think the Browns will easily beat the Jets. I think the Steelers will struggle with the Colts, and it sets up for a big, huge showdown on January 3rd at First Energy Stadium. And with what I'm seeing of the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, the Browns can absolutely beat them.
Well, and you feel for the Browns fans who would love to have this game meaning everything and being able to put 75,000 people in there and start the party early. Unfortunately, that won't be the case. In fact, do you have any idea if this is going to be a typical Cleveland-Pittsburgh game where a whole bunch of yellow raincoats are coming out?
No, not at all. I mean, I think that most or all of the fans, of the 12,000 fans, and I still think they'll be able to have 12,000 fans for that game, most or all of them, I think, will be Browns fans. I really do. And I think that's great. And I was just in MetLife Stadium, and there were no fans, and it was sad. It was eerie, and it was weird. And even though it's only 12,000 fans, those fans are loud, those fans are excited, and it fills up the stands with with something, with some life, with some color, with some noise. It was really, really unfortunate to be in MetLife, and now I have to go do it again, another game where it's just a stark reminder that things are not normal at all this time of year.
Help me out on this because you always hear about New York being important for the leagues to have good teams there, and it doesn't seem like they're. I mean, if you're going to have a lousy team like they do, what's the difference? Should they? I mean, New York is no different than any other franchise if the team is lousy.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that the New York teams are not good right now. I mean, right now as we speak, the New York teams have a combined victory total of 6. That is what is going on up there. And I'll tell you what, New York is a it's a sad place to be right now. It was really weird to be there where there wasn't the hustle and bustle of Christmas. And I mean, even my hotel was desolate. It was just really, really bizarre. Now I was in New Jersey, and I was by the Newark airport. But even then, that would be a time of year, the weekend before Christmas, where that hotel would have been packed with people getting excited to go into the city, and there would have been packages everywhere. There would be people going to the game. My plane would have been filled up with Browns fans, and there was none of that. So for them, for their fans to only have 6 victories to have cheered about all season long, I find that really sad. At least Browns fans, even though they cannot be out in full force like we know they would be, at least they have something to feel good about when everything around us right now is not normal and everything feels sort of wrong. At least the Browns are right now.
Well, how weird does it sound to be on a plane with Browns fans and nobody yelling, "Here we go, Brownies! Here we go"?
Yeah, I mean, we always, laugh about, when we would show up for the games early in the morning, and it would be, a lot of, here we go, Brownies on the plane, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I just want to try to sleep, right? But and they get the party started early on those flights, let me tell you. But so a lot of us writers, we would laugh about that because we would know what that flight was going to be like. But now I long for those days of Browns fans all over the plane, fans just there when we arrive, just all of that. I long for those days, and I can't wait till it comes back. Driving down to the stadium, I want the traffic. I want to get stuck in traffic. I want to be nervous that I'm later than I should be. I want all of that again.
Well, it's interesting because we're making the assumption it's all over and the Browns are in position to make the playoffs. They haven't clinched anything yet, and there's one scenario out there that if I think we can shed, we can shed this problem here on the only in Cleveland stage, and that would be if they have this record that they have and they get set to go to the playoffs or clinch a playoff spot. And the things that have to happen to get them out of a playoff spot would make it the ultimate only in Cleveland moment for a lot of Browns fans. But I don't sense that anybody thinks that's really going to happen, and anything other than a clinching of a berth somewhere along the line, either a championship of the division or a wild card. So they're in pretty good shape, but there is that one little part that says, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see that happening once again because they're going to beat the Jets, and I think they're going to be fine. And this is not the olden days. This is not. These are not your your yesterday's Browns. This is a new era. It's a new era, and it's a winning era. Okay, this is like Baker Mayfield said. It's time to reset the expectations. The expectation should be winning every year, being in contention every year, getting excited about your team, winning close games like they've done this year instead of blowing it at the end of games, and making it into the playoffs with 11 victories rather than what happened in 2007 where they didn't get into the playoffs with 10 victories. Those days are over. This to me is almost like team destiny. They keep getting the breaks, even breaks like James Bradbury, the absolute best cornerback for the New York Giants, gets put on the COVID list. I mean, that's a good defense when James Bradberry plays the game. It's not a good defense or a good secondary when James Bradberry is out of the game. So it's sort of like the football gods are smiling down upon the Browns this season.
Very good. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at reallesslevine@gmail.com. Mary Kay Cabot does a fantastic job for cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer, and we're so happy to have her here during the week, and we will continue with that, and we'll continue with her. And if you'd like to call and ask her a Hey Mary Kay question, now's the time to do that. Let's take a break. We'll come back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine is powered by cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. At 11-0, the Steelers were the last unbeaten team in the NFL this year and thinking a bye in the first round of the playoffs. But since Week 12, they've looked average at best. The Steelers have lost to Washington, Buffalo, and last night the Cincinnati Bengals. At 11-3, the Steelers have a one-game lead on the Browns in the AFC North with 2 left to play, including that matchup here in Cleveland with the Browns the last Sunday of the season. During the last 3 games, the Steelers' defense, which was dominant early in the year, has been decimated by injuries and looked pretty bad. Pittsburgh lost the time of possession battle with Washington, Buffalo, and Cincinnati, 3 teams in the bottom half of the NFL running the football. They also have lost the turnover battle in 2 of those 3 games and pushed the other one. They're no longer best in the league in the giveaway takeaway rankings. That dominant attacking defense the Steelers had the first 11 weeks, it's been nowhere to be found. Offensively, the Steelers have been challenged as well. Pittsburgh has run the ball for a total of 156 yards in those 3 games combined, a total of 156 yards running the football. Big Ben Roethlisberger, the quarterback, has looked every bit of his 38 years of age. He has not thrown for more than 190 yards in either of the last 2 losses, and for the 3-game losing streak, Roethlisberger has thrown 5 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, while the Browns have the Jets, who are coming off their first win. If the Browns take care of business with the Jets, the question before Browns fans is this: do you root for the Steelers to beat the Colts? That would lock up a playoff spot for the Browns. Or do you pull for the Colts to win, which would set up a winner-take-all battle with the Steelers for the AFC North in the final week of the season, where if the Browns win, they win the AFC North and get a home playoff game. But if they lose, there's a chance they could miss out entirely on the playoffs at 11-5. That would be based on the outcome of some other AFC games, which is entirely possible.
There you have a good job by Dave Bacon on that, on his Bacon Bits feature. Mary Kay, do you have there's so many different possibilities here as we go down to the last week. For the Browns' sake, what's in your mind? What's the best way of getting into that postseason? You want to win it first, or you want to hang it on and maybe win the whole thing? What do you want to do?
I think what they have to do is what they've done all season long, and that is just focus on winning the next game and let everything else take care of itself, and put on the blinders and not worry about what's going to happen if they, if this team does that, or if the Steelers do this. In fact, when the Steelers lost their first game and a bunch of players started putting out emojis and memes about how the Steelers left the door open for them, I think Kevin Stefanski slammed that door shut very quickly of players peeking ahead to trying to win the AFC North. He needs them laser focused on the next game. We saw what happened when the Rams weren't really ready to go play the Jets last week. So anything can happen in these football games. Now, I 100% think that the Browns are going to beat the Jets. I don't even think it's going to be difficult. I just really believe that they are going to win. But that is what has gotten them to 10-4, is to block every single thing out and only worry about the next game.
I'm watching Roethlisberger at the end of the game last night, with a couple of minutes left, and when he was at the top of his game in Super Bowls and just winning a lot of games, there's a certain look he'd have about himself in the last 2 or 3 minutes. And you'd look at that face and you'd say, oh, he's going to beat us again. And I'm watching for that. I'm looking for that face, and I didn't see it last night at all.
Well, I'll tell you what, sometimes a quarterback, especially a quarterback that is coming off of an elbow surgery like he is, and a quarterback that is 38 years old, sometimes you can't be Superman. Sometimes you're not invincible. So therefore, you need help around you. You need other people to do things to help you win a football game. Well, right now, as a team, they're not doing what they need to do. As a whole entire team, the offensive line is not protecting him well enough. The receivers have dropped pass after pass after pass. Their tight end got hurt last night. They have lost key defensive players. So there are systemic problems going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. And I think, now Ben has already said he wants to come back and play next year. I don't think he's necessarily lost it or washed up. Like Tom Brady, you start to have some limitations as you get older, but it doesn't mean you can't play winning football. They're going to have to give him a bunch of help.
Is that his call, that whether he stay in? It's his call if he's going to play again, but is it his call that he's going to play and he's going to play with Pittsburgh, or is that a call for the organization to make? Is that a call for somebody other than Ben Roethlisberger to decide what to do? Because that's an organization. To me, it's an organizational situation.
Yeah, that's organizational. The team will have to decide if they feel that he can play winning football and get them to where they want to go. And where the Steelers always want to go is to win and hoist the Lombardi Trophy. And they've obviously done it plenty of times, and they're not satisfied with what they have in their lobby right now. They'd like some more of those shiny trophies. So that is going to be an organizational decision, and they'll weigh everything in that decision. But if you look at some of the things that have gone on with that team in terms of all the drop passes, Deontay Johnson has really struggled to hold on. You've got to surround him with weapons. I mean, look at Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has got a really good situation right now. Probably either, if not the best in the NFL, one of the top 2 or 3 best situations in the NFL in terms of his supporting cast. It is phenomenal. He is protected like no other. He has weapons aplenty, a run game that anybody would be envious of, and it really helps a quarterback when you surround him with all of that.
He threw a couple of passes yesterday that was so, I don't want to say cocky, but it was the kind of thing you wouldn't expect a younger quarterback to do. And he was just firing him in with very little room to spare, but he was on target each and every time. And, when he was up for the draft, you'd wonder if his arm was strong enough. Well, we've seen enough. His arm is plenty strong.
Oh, he's got a very, very strong arm. Now, maybe not as strong as like a Josh Allen or somebody like that, but he's got a very, very, very strong arm. In fact, I talked to scouts who felt that he did have the strongest arm in that draft class, even though it included Josh Allen. So that is not an issue at all. He's got a tremendously strong arm, and when he has time to throw, he's very, very accurate. Now, the Giants chose really not to pressure him all that much. But they wanted to confuse him with some blitzes and things like that, but they really didn't pressure him that much. He was not under pressure or under siege in that game. And when he's got time to throw, and you're going against some really bad cornerbacks, he's going to find those matchups, and he's going to put the ball on the money. And he is playing with tremendous amount of confidence right now. And that's what Baker needs. Baker needs to be that dangerous guy that he is. When he is in the zone like that, he's dynamite. And he has been dynamite the last 4 games.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Mary Kay Cabot is with us. We'll take a break. We'll come on back. We'll get to your phone calls and more. More Sports and Less. Levine is powered by cleveland.com.
Transform your home for the holidays with an authentic Nature Stone garage floor. No more tripping on cracked, uneven concrete. Stop slipping on puddles and standing water. It's the safer, more beautiful garage floor that's easy to clean and never needs replaced. That's why it's backed by Russell's Promise. For a limited time, get more Nature Stone than ever before with up to half your garage floor free. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com to qualify for your free flooring. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Birthdays for today. Connie Mack used to manage baseball games with a three-piece suit. And Steve Carlton, one of the great pitchers of all time. You know, he always had a bad reputation. Mary Kay, I don't know if there are football players like this, that Carlton had a bad reputation that he didn't treat the media very well. And I had him on my show when he was appearing at the All-Star game in 1997, I guess it was, with he was making the tour, and he was on the show. He couldn't have been nicer. So, you know, you got to be careful what you hear about people, and you make decisions. I found him kind of entertaining, to be honest with you. Let's see the rest of the birthdays for the day. Dentist Appointment, 1947, Steve Garvey, Dennis Northcutt, and Everson Griffin, all born on this date, the 22nd of December. Mary Kay, I don't know what year it would have been when Dennis Northcutt was with the Browns. What would that have been? 90?
Oh my God. I was just thinking about that. Now I'm having a hard time remembering when it was either, but I mean, it was probably what, in 2000 and I hate to even venture a guess and sound silly. 2001, like, somewhere around there.
I did a Browns post-game show with Dennis Northcutt and Michael Regai. And every week, Northcutt would come in, be plenty of time, talk to us, answer any question we wanted. He was trying for a new contract. He couldn't have been nicer, telling us inside stuff about players. Then one Wednesday, he comes in to do the show, and he had just been told that the Browns are not going to renew his contract. He unloaded on every quarterback the Browns had, on every front office guy, every coach. It was fabulously entertaining, much better than Michael and I provided on the air that night. Sometimes you know as well as anybody, you'll get stuff from players and you don't know what the mindset is and why they're getting it. But in that case, if you caught them at the right moment, you're loaded with information to last you a year.
Yeah, I bet. We should play some of those clips some night. Go find them and let's get some Dennis Northcutt going off.
We were laughing too hard. I don't know if we were able to tape them. It was some of the quarterbacks that he had just said the week before how good they weren't so good the following week. So 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Did the players on the sidelines have any to do about Freddie Kitchens last night, or was it all civil? Was everybody playing like big boys?
Yeah, everybody was civil. Everybody was good. Baker Mayfield talked to Freddie Kitchens after the game. So absolutely, it was, there was no hard feelings. A lot of the guys liked Freddie. It was just, things kind of just fell apart last season. I don't know if you got a chance to see it or not, but I talked to Drew Stanton and he gave some good inside info on what it was like and where things kind of went wrong. But Freddie kind of did the best he could with a very, very difficult situation.
I know every team has a different situation by themselves. Certain teams need to win games. Others are getting ready to play next year. Others are preparing for the playoffs. But I didn't understand the thinking of the New York Giants last night when they're inside the 10-yard line, first possession, and they didn't take the field goal. There are some reasons not to take the automatic field goal, and they're not automatic anymore. But that's either a sign of a coach who doesn't think he has a chance to beat a team, or it's somebody who doesn't think his team is very good, let alone the team he's playing against. What would you suggest to coaches not to go for fake field goals and all that until they're a little more established?
Yeah, I think that was a situation where they felt they were going to have to score a bunch of points to keep up with the high-flying Cleveland Browns, because that's really what the Browns are now. And I think they felt like they needed to do something to try to get 7 there, and they just went for the gusto, and a play that worked very, very well in practice, they just didn't hit it. It just completely flopped. And that was the plan. The plan was, we've got to put points on the board, and they absolutely didn't. My goodness, to not even be able to convert on the goal line, when you've got a 4th and 2, it was, you can't blow it twice inside the 10 on 4th down. You just can't do it.
Yeah, I heard some people saying that was Freddie Kitchens and his call. There's no way it's a Freddie Kitchens call, whether it's the actual play itself or the decision to go for it. That's a head coaching job, and hopefully Kevin Stefanski will understand that he's got to take over the game at that point if that same situation comes up. And you don't have to be cute. You can just play the game the way it's supposed to be played, and you'll do all right if you have the right talent.
Yeah, you know what, though? I mean, we've seen Kevin Stefanski be very, very aggressive this year. Most of the time, when they go for it on 4th down, they convert. So nobody is second-guessing themselves in those situations. There have been a few times where they tried something and it didn't work, and it burned them. Like when they tried the fake punt in the opener on the opening drive with Jamie Gillen fumbling. that was a questionable decision. But most of the time, they get away with it. They know they have the horses to convert a fourth down, and they're just going to keep doing it and doing it and doing it because they can.
Yeah, because they can. If they convert, nobody's going to remember it anyway, because they'll remember the win and not how they got there.
Right.
I don't think this matters to anybody. Maybe Jimmy Haslam it does, but is the coach of the year in the offing here for Kevin Stefanski?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially look. I mean, they've won 5 out of their last 6 games. He's a first-year head coach. There are so many reasons why he should be NFL Coach of the Year, and I think especially now that the Steelers have gone in the tank. There was a lot of talk that Mike Tomlin would be up for that award, but now I think you really have to put Kevin Stefanski very high on the top, near the top of the list, if not at the top.
Does it matter to a team if their coach who wins that award, or does it matter to the coach to say, well, what took you so long to hire me? At my first chance, I become Coach of the Year, or is the whole thing, it's nice to get, but it's meaningless if you don't win a championship?
You know what? I think it would mean a lot to everyone in this organization if Kevin Stefanski were named Coach of the Year. I do think that would be a big, huge deal. He's not, obviously, it's not something that's on his mind. I mean, if it happens, it happens. And those are the kinds of things that come to you when you do put those blinders on and you do your job and you focus on the next game. And the good thing for him is that he has been to the NFC Championship game. He's been around successful teams. He's been to a Super Bowl. So, therefore, you have someone who understands what it takes to get to that level. So he knows you can't get here and all of a sudden start thinking about outside things, because guess what? As you mentioned earlier, they haven't clinched a spot yet. There is a world, a very small world, but a world in which it doesn't happen. And so he knows he's got to keep his guys on point and himself too.
Do you think there's some personnel directors around the NFL now, or maybe owners who are saying, how did we miss this guy in Minnesota, talking about Stefanski? I mean, right now he's got to be the talk of the coaching world, and somehow, I don't know, 8-10 teams missed him over the last 2-3 years.
Well, you know what? I mean, because he was, he was not calling plays, and he wasn't even an offensive coordinator until the end of the previous season. Not even the year before last year. He only got that job when John DeFilippo got fired. So he was only the interim OC and play caller for the final 3 years. Generally, you don't become a head coach unless you've been a coordinator and a play caller. So, I'm not surprised that people didn't find him. I mean, the people that end up on those lists are the really super hot coordinators, and he wasn't that. So the Browns were thinking outside the box. It was Paul DePodesta and Andrew Berry identifying the kind of person they wanted to be the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. They wanted somebody extremely smart and somebody with amazing people skills. And they got to know him well enough throughout the process that he was the kind of guy that they wanted. And I'll tell you, it's made all the difference in the world. The difference between Kevin Stefanski running this team and Freddie running this team, it's just absolutely night and day.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. You mentioned John DeFilippo, and it's amazing how many former Browns coaches are out there in the world still coaching and still doing good jobs. It's just that their bailiwick, I've never used that word before, their talent, I think that means the same thing, is not necessarily being a head coach. Might be a coordinator, might be something else. And there's no reason to believe that every good coordinator is going to make a good head coach.
Now we have to use that word bailiwick in every show. Somehow we have got to find a way to get it in. That's a beautiful word, and I appreciate your use of it.
Well,
your correct use.
I do crossword puzzles. I'm not sure how to spell that word, but if we use it, we'll find a way.
So yes, the head coach is now I lost my train of thought.
Well,
the question was.
The assumption is if the guy's a good coordinator, therefore he will make a good head coach, and that's a made up story.
Right. Well, Freddie wasn't even an offensive coordinator really before he got the head coaching job here. I mean, he was not somebody who spent a bunch of time doing that either. That was an interim job that he had in the final 8 games of the season. And I had been trying to tell people that they were overestimating those 8 games because of the level of talent that they played in those 8 games. They played horrible defenses. And look, Baker showed that he had potential to be a great quarterback that year. But you have to be able to realistically look at the whole picture and see what is happening in a situation. And in that situation, they were beating some really bad football teams and running up big, huge numbers on like the Bengals. I mean, you have to look at that when you make future decisions.
Yeah, I also think that there was a decision that was made because jobs were involved, and you would think that Stefanski was going to be the automatic choice with DePodesta and all that stuff. So I think they had to go out of the box and get somebody like Freddie and maybe strike gold, unexpected gold with it, so that some people could keep their jobs in the organization. And I don't think they ever thought it was going to work that way, but he took a chance.
Yeah, it was just weird because that was when the organization was still very much misaligned. And it amazes me that the Haslams couldn't see the misalignment at every turn except for this year. I mean, if you're going to hire a Paul DePodesta and have him be your chief strategy officer, then you have to let him strategize. You can't give him that title and that job and that role and then go bring in a John Dorsey and a Freddie Kitchens. And I mean, it was just, it was just a mess.
Yeah, I think that's what I meant when Dorsey said, I got to hit a home run here with this unexpected situation, because if I don't get my own man and he doesn't prove to be the right guy, I'm out of a job too.
Right, absolutely. I mean, there was no way he could let Kevin Stefanski come in because he knew that he and his guys were gone.
Right.
Because Kevin Stefanski was the pick of Paul and Andrew. The thing is, I think that even though it was a setback for last year, I actually think in the long run, they're better off because Kevin Stefanski was able to go back, be a coordinator for a year. He had a lot of, came up the learning curve and also gained a lot of wisdom from working with Gary Kubiak for a year. Right. And incorporating all of the Gary Kubiak elements of an offensive scheme. And I think that was invaluable. So I really think that helped tremendously. And in the grand scheme of things, it probably worked out better that way.
Mary Kay Cabot is here. Her bailiwick is covering the Browns. I think that's the word for that. I think so. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll continue on with Mary Kay after these messages. Of course, we are fueled by cleveland.com.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your 4-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have Hundreds of subscribers joined us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week, and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
This date in sports history, 1946, the 22nd of December, Cleveland Browns defeat, the New York Football Yankees, win the first ever AAFC championship. Otto Graham went 16 for 27, 213 yards. He had 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Not gaudy numbers for the great Hall of Famer Otto Graham, but enough to win, which is what he did. 216-575-0403. Mary Kay Cabot is with us. Mary Kay, let's take a look at the Jets, who don't even know when they're supposed to win games and lose games. So that makes it comfortable to play a team like that. They're going for the opposite of the Miami Dolphins in '72, and couldn't hold on to the couldn't hold on to the loss that was staring at them in the face. So what do they have? They're an NFL team, so they must have some kind of players. Who do they have, and what do you have to worry about?
Well, I haven't done all my scouting yet on the Jets yet, but one person that they have that we all know is a member of the 2018 quarterback class that almost ended up here with the Cleveland Browns. I mean, there was a lot of thought before that whole process got started that maybe they would draft Sam Darnold. And now here are the Jets actually talking about, trying to get another quarterback. I mean, somebody even asked Sam Darnold in his press conference the other day, did they mess up the number 1 overall pick and lose out on getting a quarterback? Why would they ask that of Sam Darnold? I don't understand that at all. But this is someone that's going to want to go out and have something to prove against the Browns, and they just won a game. They just won a football game. They beat the Rams, and the Rams have a good defense. So he's going to be motivated. I haven't done all of my homework on the Jets yet, because actually I had to go out and do some Christmas shopping today. I just got back from New York yesterday, and if I didn't get out and do some Christmas shopping today, we were going to have to cancel Christmas. There would have been nothing under this beautiful tree behind me. So I'm going to dig into the Jets a little bit more tonight and get ready for all of our conference calls tomorrow. We're going to have Adam Gase. Now, is Adam Gase going to survive? It's going to be tough. We know that Greg Williams has already been fired by the Jets, their defensive coordinator. They still have a head coach in Adam Gase that's there, but who knows? I mean, that could get blown up by the end of the season.
That's a team that was terrible last year. Somehow Gase has done a nice job with them this year.
Well, no, he hasn't done a nice job with them this year, the Jets. I mean, they've been.
No, I was thinking. No, my fault. I was thinking of I said Miami Dolphins, and I meant the Dolphins this year. The Dolphins seem to be.
Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins have been a very pleasant surprise this year. In fact, right. Now they've got a tough last 2 games. So I actually think it's going to be challenging for them to hang on to their playoff hopes. It might be a little hard for them to do that. But yeah, so Adam used to be the head coach of the Dolphins. Now he's the head coach of the Jets. And and he is on the hot seat. He is 100% on the hot seat, and nobody knows what's going to happen with Sam Darnold. You know, is he their quarterback of the future, or is he a bust? You know, so they're in a situation where the Browns always used to be.
Well, the Browns made the right choice this year.
Yes, they did. Yep. They definitely did. And you know, John Dorsey, from the very start, now that was an intriguing quarterback class, as we know, but right from the start, from October, before he was even hired as general manager of the Browns, he knew he was going to draft Baker Mayfield. He didn't even have eyes for anybody else. They never really seriously considered Sam Bradford once John Dorsey got that job. They never really seriously considered Josh Allen, even though they kind of made it seem like they were considering Josh Allen. I liked Josh Allen a lot. I liked him a lot. I didn't care what other people were saying about him. I watched him. I watched film. I talked to people, and I liked him. And but they didn't. They did not like him. They did not think that you can take an inaccurate quarterback in college and turn him into an accurate quarterback in the NFL. And Josh Allen has proven everybody wrong on that piece of information.
Yeah, well, you had 5 quarterbacks, potential quarterbacks that year, and depending on who you're with, that depends on how good you think these guys are. And you're absolutely right. Dorsey wanted Baker Mayfield. That by itself should be a star on his refrigerator wall. That he had him from day one, and so far he was right. I mean, now it's up to Stefanski to make that an even better choice by making an even better quarterback out of Baker Mayfield than he's done so far. Right now, he deserves a lot of credit. They all do. They all do, because that was such a tough position to fill, the franchise quarterback, and it looks like they filled it.
Yeah, and, you know, that's obviously the most important thing. And, you know, this could prove to be a total win-win situation for, you know, the Bills ended up with Josh Allen, the Browns end up with Baker Mayfield. And it's just a matter of, you know, who you wanted at that time. They could both go on to be wildly successful. It would be very interesting to see what happens if they meet in the playoffs. And there's a darn good chance of that happening. And boy, that I think will be a heck of a game if it comes to fruition.
Let's take a break. Mary Kay Cabot with us, plain dealer and cleveland.com. We'll be back in a moment. More Sports and Less Levine is powered exclusively by cleveland.com.
Transform your home for the holidays with an authentic Nature Stone basement floor. Add more livable space, inhibit the growth of mold and mildew, and improve air quality for your family. It's the healthier, more beautiful basement floor that's easy to clean and never needs replaced. That's why it's backed by Russell's Promise. For a limited time, get more Nature Stone than ever before with up to half your basement floor free. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com to qualify for your free flooring. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line, a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
final segment of More Sports and Less Levine for tonight. Dennis Maniloff joins us tomorrow at D-Man's World at 474. He, of course, now with WTAM 1100, and you can catch him throughout the week there. But you'll catch him with us tomorrow night. Doug Maurice will be here. That'll be on Thursday night. More Sports and Less Levine continues. Mary Kay Cabot is with us. Mary Kay, I need you to be a judge. We have a guy, when we do quickies, we have a guy, Mr. Gullible, who somewhere along the line wanted to be a radio or TV star. And he sends in how come quickies that are not usable for air. The problem is they're funny, but we can't use them. And he gets mad. He writes me every night complaining why I don't use them. And I say, if you want to be a radio guy, you got to learn to pick and choose what you use and what you don't. And you can't just assume that the powers that be that hold the controls feel the same way about off the cover quickies. You got to assume that they all think like you do, or you think like they do. Just giving him advice.
Oh, you want me to give him some advice?
No, I just want you to concur and say, yeah, Les, you're absolutely right.
You are absolutely right. And I mean, you are the voice of truth and reason. So, I mean, really, I don't think anybody should question whether or not they should take your advice.
It's self-proclaimed also. All right.
Right.
Yeah. The Browns had 3 Pro Bowlers chosen. Number one, any surprises that there weren't more, or any surprises of the ones that do? First of all, we're talking about Nick Chubb. We're talking about Garrett.
Joel Bitonio and Garrett.
And
yep.
Yeah. All right. Did they make a mistake on that?
No, those guys all absolutely 100% deserve to be in the Pro Bowl. No question about it. And there are a couple of other guys that are definitely Pro Bowl caliber players, but for whatever reason, the timing or things weren't right. Let's start with Denzel Ward, for instance. Denzel Ward was playing at a Pro Bowl caliber level before he injured his calf. It was bad timing on the calf because that's right when everybody was doing the voting. The other thing about Denzel Ward, he only has 2 interceptions. So when people if they don't really see your games a lot and they're from other conferences and things like that, then they only see 2 interceptions, they might think that you are not all that great. But Denzel was definitely locking down his side of the field, shutting down his man, and playing at a Pro Bowl level. So unfortunate he didn't make it. Wyatt Teller, one of the best guards in the NFL this season, but he's kind of new to the scene a little bit. Joel Bitonio, people know him. He's gained a reputation. Wyatt Teller just hasn't been able to quite do that yet, even though he was way up there. He's also had injuries. He missed 3 games with a calf injury. Now he's missing 3 more with a high ankle sprain. That didn't help his cause. Jarvis Landry, he's definitely a Pro Bowl talent. Every time I see him catch a pass, I can't believe he just caught that pass. But he doesn't have the numbers this year, and it's sad because he had his string of 5 Pro Bowls snapped. He needs to keep making them if he wants to make the Hall of Fame. So
some of these players are going to get picked. Some will get picked anyway. Injuries to the starting Pro Bowlers. Somebody's going to get picked, and by the time the game comes around, you're going to have more than 3 Browns.
Well, you know what? Now, in a normal year, yes, that would be the case. But of course, there's nothing normal about this year. And this year, there's not actually a game. It's just virtual. And they are not adding alternates to the Pro Bowl because nobody has to cancel because there's not actually a game. Right. So they should have done a simulation where a certain number of people would have had to not be able to play in it for whatever reason. What they should do is if guys, make the Super Bowl and they're not going to play in it, they should let other guys be added at alternates just to get some more names in there. Because unfortunately, nobody's going to be added this year.
Yeah. Is there any reason to even have the Pro Bowl game anymore? I mean, is it what is the money? Does the money go to the players? Does it go to charity? What does it go for?
No, they get the money, but you're right. The game is so bad. It's just not really. It's not easy to play. That I mean, I think that actually the skills competition seems to be a little bit more. There's more intrigue with that. I mean, you want you need Pro Bowls. You need to help gauge the value of a player. When we sit in those Hall of Fame room, all pros carry more weight than Pro Bowls, but Pro Bowls still give you some cachet. And so, they still need to do it, and players still really appreciate being voted to the Pro Bowl. So for those reasons, yes. But the game itself, I don't know what they can do to fix that.
All right, finally, who do you want to see in the playoffs? I'm assuming the Browns are going to be one of the teams. Who do you want to see them play for their best path to get as far as they can go? Or is it just too many possibilities to come up with a choice or even know what is going to happen? So what do you think is going to happen here in the next 2 weeks?
Well, first of all, I think they have a great chance, as I mentioned earlier, of winning the division. That gives them an opportunity to have a home playoff game and also to play a lesser caliber team. So I think that's going to happen. I don't know. I just have a feeling that is going to happen. I think that would be good for them. I think that they can. There's a lot of teams I think they can beat. I mean, I think they can beat the Colts. They've already done that. I think they can beat the Titans. They've already done that. Although I think that Derrick Henry is probably going to work very hard to have more than 15 rushing yards in the first half of the next time that they meet. Right. So I think that's a key issue. But I think they can beat those teams. I think they can beat the Steelers. I think they could beat the Dolphins. I think as I've mentioned before, I think the two teams that they might struggle with a little bit would be the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. So
I think
if they
Baltimore,
right?
Yeah, I don't like facing Baltimore.
Yeah, they'd have to come up with a better game plan. Lamar isn't really passing the ball that well, but if they run the ball the way that they did in this past game, obviously they would have a hard time again with Baltimore. Now, they will have guys back for that game that they did not have for this game, and that's Denzel Ward and Ronnie Harrison. And those two guys against the Ravens would make a huge difference.
All right. Thanks to Mary Kay Cabot. Did a sensational job as always. Hopefully by next Tuesday when you're here, hopefully we have a playoff berth secured. You think it will be?
I kind of think so. Yes, I think so.
Excellent. All right. We look forward to your writing all week, cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer. That'll do it for us. I'll see you tomorrow night. The D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, Doug Maurice on Thursday. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.